Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're putting a magnifying glass on something incredibly universal, often felt but maybe rarely fully examined. The daily rhythm of a working person. We've got some really rich source material for this deep dive. It's titled Excerpts from a Working Person's Daily Life. Our mission is basically to take this snapshot, kind of unpack the familiar, find the humor in it, and maybe extract some, well, surprisingly profound insights hidden in what might seem like the most routine moments. We're going to follow someone we'll call Raj. His day, I think, is going to feel remarkably like anyone's day, possibly even yours.
It's so easy just to, get through our daily routines, isn't it? We just move from one thing to the next without much thought, really. But when you actually pause and look closer, the patterns, the tiny decisions, even those little resistances we have, they can reveal so much about modern life, our collective well-being, and even the subtle ways we interact with our environment, our work, ourselves. What's truly fascinating here, I think, is how these seemingly simple, repetitive actions, when you see them all together, they paint a much larger, more insightful picture of our shared experience. It's about finding the profound within the mundane, you know, recognizing that these shared moments, they really form the fabric of our everyday existence. So let's step into Raj's world and see what we can uncover together.
Okay, let's dive right in, right at the beginning. So our source tells us Raj's alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. sharp. But does he leap out of bed? Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, not quite. It's the snooze button, not once, but twice. What does this immediate act, this often unconscious thing, tell us about our relationship with the workday, right from its very first moment?
Oh, that double snooze. It's incredibly telling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's way more than just grabbing a few extra minutes of sleep. It's often our first daily negotiation with obligation, like a subconscious pushback against the societal expectation of constant, immediate readiness. This small act, it's frequently masking a deeper collective sleep deficit. So many of us are living with that. We're essentially making a micro-protest, right,
Yeah.
against the rigid structure of the workday before it even properly begins. Think about it. That brief, maybe 9-minute reprieve, it becomes a symbolic reclaiming of personal time, a tiny act of control against a set schedule. It really highlights the tension between, well, our biological need for rest and the external demands of modern life.
And it definitely sets a tone, doesn't it? Like you've already lost that first small battle, maybe, even if you gain those few minutes of twilight. So after that internal skirmish, Raj eventually gets up, and the source outlines a familiar sequence. Tea, immediate phone scrolling, and breakfast is either a quick bite or nothing. Then it's a rush to work, sometimes even forgetting the lunchbox. That image, juggling hot tea and phone notifications before your brain's fully awake, it's so common. What does this hurried, digitally infused morning routine signify?
Well, this sequence, it speaks volumes about the hurriedness of modern life. And maybe more importantly, the shift from being intentional to just reacting. When our first waking moments are dominated by external stuff from a screen checking emails, scrolling feeds, we're immediately pulled into a reactive state. We lose that really valuable opportunity for a mindful start, for setting our own tone for the day. And the breakfast thing, or lack of it, followed by the forgotten lunchbox, is not just a minor inconvenience, it's a powerful symbol. It shows how often self-care and just basic physiological needs get, well, deprioritized in the race against the clock. It suggests a system where personal well-being frequently takes a backseat to the relentless demands of the schedule and all those external expectations. Essentially, yeah, we're sacrificing a foundational proactive start for a purely responsive one.
It really feels like we're always playing catch up. From the moment the alarm first goes off, right, the day starts with a kind of deficit. So Raj managed to get out the door, arrives at the office, and his day quickly fills with emails, meetings, and that classic move, the serious face when the boss walks by. It's such a relatable moment, that one. Beyond the actual tasks, what's happening here in this office jungle?
The serious face.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant, kind of understated detail from your source. And it reveals how office culture often elevates the performance of diligence, makes it just as demanding, sometimes even more draining, than the actual work itself. It's a subtle form of emotional labor. We're not just doing the job, we're also expending energy on managing perceptions, making sure we project an image of focus and competence, no matter what's truly going on inside. This performative aspect is a critical, yet often unacknowledged, part of work life. It really underscores the social dynamics at play, where how you appear can sometimes be just as important as what you actually produce.
Right. So it's not just about getting the work done, it's the theater of getting the work done. But is there ever maybe a positive side to that serious face, even if it's a performance? Does it help us shift gears, maybe?
That's a great point, yeah. While it can be draining, putting on that serious face might also serve as a kind of mental trigger. It could help us transition into a professional mindset, like a psychological tool, a cue to ourselves to focus and compartmentalize. However, the energy cost is definitely real. If the need to perform constantly outweighs genuine engagement, well, that can lead straight to burnout. The insight here is recognizing that there's often this gap between our internal state and our external presentation at work, and navigating that gap requires its own kind of effort.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting according to the source. The lunch break is called the best, and it specifically highlights sharing food and gossip. He, but then almost immediately afterwards, the afternoon hits, and with it comes the afternoon sleep attack begins. That contrast is really striking. What does it reveal about the interplay between our biological rhythms and our structured workdays?
That contrast is truly compelling, you're right, and it encapsulates a core tension in our daily lives. Lunch isn't just fuel, it's a vital social and mental break, a genuine reset button.
Ugh.
The sharing food and gossip part, that isn't trivial at all. It's a critical pressure release valve. It allows for a temporary escape from the structured demands of work into a more informal, communal space. This period of connection and lightheartedness is essential for diffusing stress. It can actually improve cognitive function for the rest of the day. But then, like clockwork, comes the afternoon sleep attack,
Mm.
often called the post-lunch dip or the circadian dip. And this isn't laziness, not at all. It's a genuine biological reality, a natural drop in alertness and energy. Our bodies are essentially telling us, hey, time to rest, right when our work structures demand peak sustained focus.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well. It's like my brain suddenly decides it's siesta time, regardless of the looming deadlines. So our work structures often go directly against our natural biological flow.
Exactly. And this mismatch creates an ongoing internal struggle. It leads to decreased productivity, increased frustration. We're expected to maintain this, well, unnatural level of alertness and output during a time when our bodies are actually programmed for a temporary lull.
Mm.
Understanding this dip isn't about excusing it, really. It's about recognizing it as a fundamental aspect of human physiology, one that often clashes with the artificial demands of, say, an 8-hour workday. Perhaps just acknowledging it could lead to more effective work strategies like embracing brief power naps or maybe shifting demanding tasks to morning hours if possible.
That makes perfect sense. Totally. So Raj somehow survives the afternoon. We've all been there. He heads home and relaxes with TV or endless reels, and then comes that familiar promise: sleep early, but never does. This just perfectly captures a paradox of modern relaxation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This final phase of Raj's day, it highlights another pervasive struggle,
Hmm.
the transition from work to, well, true rest. We instinctively seek to decompress after a demanding day, and for many of us, yeah, that means passive consumption of digital content.
Hmm.
But while engaging with endless reels can be entertaining, sure, and a form of escape,
Mm.
it often falls short of genuine relaxation. This constant stream of new, stimulating information can actually keep the mind in a state of heightened arousal. It prevents it from truly winding down. It's a kind of pseudo-relaxation, you could say, that delays actual sleep and often leaves us feeling more stimulated than rested in the end.
It's like we're caught in this loop. We're tired from work. We try to relax with screens, but the screens keep us from getting the proper rest we need, which then sets us up for another tired morning and, well, another double snooze.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows how easily the boundaries blur between winding down and simply extending the day's overstimulation. This cycle just perpetuates the very fatigue we're trying to escape. It sets us up for another tired morning and reinforces the need for that double snooze. It all connects back. The critical insight here is really to question the quality of our recovery time. Are our chosen relaxation strategies genuinely promoting rest and repair? Or are they merely offering a different form of engagement that ultimately hinders our ability to recharge? It's a cycle that's incredibly difficult to break in our always-on world, but, recognizing it is the first step.
And that recognition brings us right to the source's conclusion. It calls this the classic working day busy, funny, and totally relatable. And truly, every detail just resonates, doesn't it? From that initial internal struggle with the alarm clock, through the hurried breakfast, the performative serious face, the sacred lunch break, and that inevitable afternoon slump. Raj's journey is so deeply universally familiar.
It's a powerful narrative, isn't it? Raj's day isn't just his, it's a mirror for so many of us. It reflects the universal patterns of energy, social interaction, and the persistent pull of daily obligations. What's compelling is how these seemingly mundane details, when you bring them together, form this coherent, almost archetypal narrative of modern life. It's really a testament to the commonality of our experiences. even within our individual struggles. And this realization, it can foster a sense of collective self-awareness. It lets us see ourselves and maybe our colleagues in Raj's hurried mornings and his late-night scrolling. The humor, as the source notes, lies exactly in that shared recognition, a knowing chuckle at the universal battles and rituals we all navigate. We might have different jobs, different commutes, different details, sure, but the core rhythm, the internal monologue, the external pressures Raj faces, they're fundamentally part of a deeply shared human experience in the modern workforce. It offers a sense of solidarity, almost a comfort actually, to know we're all, in some way, living out our own version of Raj's day.
So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We've taken a deep dive into the familiar, sometimes chaotic, yet undeniably human routine of a working day. From the double snooze right through to the endless reels, Raj's story, drawn from our source, gives us this vivid snapshot of a shared reality. It's full of humor and universal truths. It's a reminder that even in the most mundane moments, there's a story unfolding, a narrative of our time, often with surprising insights hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. And this examination of Raj's busy, funny, and totally relatable day, it really encourages us to pause and reflect on our own routines. So consider this. What's one small, perhaps overlooked ritual in your classic working day? Maybe it's your specific coffee-making process, or how you mentally prep before a big meeting, or even just the way you sigh when you finally sit down at your desk. What if you observe that one small thing more closely? Maybe with a touch of humor, a bit of curiosity. Might it unlock a new personal insight about your own flow, your own hidden resistances, or even your secret sources of energy? What unexpected wisdom might be waiting to be discovered in the fabric of your everyday?